Welcome to the Co-Host Bros podcast, the #1 show for short-term rental operators, co-hosts, and hospitality entrepreneurs who are done playing small. 2 hosts, 1 mission: help you build a short-term rental business that actually works. Every week, Matt Codd and Austin Spitzenberger bring you real talk, real strategies, and real results from the people actually doing it in the STR industry. Whether you are just starting out or scaling to your next 100 doors, this is your show. Let's get into it.
What is going on, party people? Welcome to episode 112. We hope you're doing swell of the Co-Host Bros podcast. My name is Matt Codd, and I'm kicking it here with Austin Spitzenberger, as always. And today, our special guest is Michael Friedman in the house. So what is going on, fellas?
What's up?
Go ahead, Austin. Sorry.
No. What's up, Michael? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. Thank you both for having me on, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I think this is like the part of the show where I guess we're rating Matt's intro. Are we still doing that, or is that not?
If we can, I forgot to tell people to share and review and stuff, so you might want to add that too.
All right, so
7.2 or something.
No, that was pretty good. You didn't stutter. You didn't stutter at all. You said the name, which is like the rate at which you botched the name is usually like 80%. So the 20% that you got it right today. So I'm gonna give you a good score of like, I think it's like a 7.9. Like that was pretty good intro. So cheers to you, Matt. And then like Matt said, this is kind of what we do to give back to the industry. We don't make money on this. This is kind of our way to say thank you to the industry and provide value to other people. So as of today, all that we ask is you like, share, give us a 5-star review if you received value from this episode or any of the episodes in the past. And if you haven't, you can always find someone else to listen to. I'm just kidding. But no, all good stuff. Michael, thanks for coming on, man. Super excited to dive into you and your background. If you want, man, just give us maybe a little background of, how you got into the space and maybe what you do today.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. So I've been in this industry, if you would call it, for 30 plus years in hospitality and real estate. And it started kind of back in the mid 90s with mostly real estate before really STR was an acronym. And I started doing some consulting projects for one of the larger franchise companies in the industry, and they hired me on full time. And that's kind of what prompted me to just dive into the industry and, held various roles throughout the years with 2 of the larger franchises in the industry. I launched Vacation Rental University, which still is a little platform that we have, quite a few subscribers to. It's kind of an industry leading, if you would, educational platform. And then have held various roles over the last few years, most recently, prior to me becoming the CEO at Simple Life Hospitality here in Wisconsin. I was the chief operating officer for Core for the Onefinestay brand for the Americas and had about 3,500 properties under management and ran as an OTA and a property manager. But now CEO of a smaller company, about 150 homes here in Wisconsin. We manage a place called Door County, Wisconsin, and we love it. It's a great little business, and it's exciting times for us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I was just looking at your site now. You guys are mostly focused, for your territory, y'all are in one market for the most part. What is the geographical radius of your market in regards to because when I say we manage in the Texas Hill Country, I quote that, but we may have properties that are 2 hours apart. I guess my question is, what's that kind of look like for y'all?
Yeah, for us, I mean, if people know Door County, it's kind of considered and called the Cape Cod of the Midwest. And so it's Lake Michigan on one side, the Bay of Green Bay or Green Bay on the other. And so it's just that little peninsula of Wisconsin. If you're looking at a map, I'd say 90% of our inventory we manage is in Door County. Then we have another market. We have some Green Bay properties. We actually manage, about 6 homes around Lambeau Field, mostly for Packer game weekends, which is really fun. Excuse me. And then we manage in what's called the Northwoods. And that's just a growing market for us. That's kind of an expansion market. That's about an hour away. really not that far. So I'd say 95% of our inventory, I would say, is condensed between Sturgeon Bay and the top of what we call the Door County Peninsula, which is only about 45 minutes. So very condensed, really super geo-focused. It works really, really well for us.
Yeah, for sure. So how does that play a role in like some of the operational decisions that you guys do? Like I'm thinking at this size, like maybe you guys have linens or laundry in house, or do you have cleaning in house? I guess run me through like a little bit of your maybe your business structure, and if you guys are concentrated in one market, is there certain things that you're able to leverage versus being maybe in like multiple markets?
Yeah, great question. And I think you're gonna love this, and I think the audience will love this. We'll do this year, and I can share this number. We'll probably do close to 10 million in gross rental revenue this year with a team of 7, and that includes myself as the CEO of the company. So we're super highly leveraged. I have a director of operations. I have 2 portfolio managers. I have a head of business development and growth. I've got a person who focuses on SEO and marketing / and also some accounting features. I've got another marketing person and a PR person. And we operate really, really lean. And we've been able to scale our tech stack and take our tech stack and just leverage it in ways where we can operate in Door County in just a super efficient manner. Most of our cleaning and outsourced maintenance that we do is outsourced. We do have a few in-house cleaning personnel, if you would. But really, mostly everything is outsourced there on the cleaning and maintenance side. But everything else is all in-house. And we've just really focused on streamlining our business. So, we're not, well, first and foremost, I think the biggest part of the reason for our success from a profitability perspective is that, we haven't delved in. We've thought about growing and expanding. We've even looked at buying companies in other markets. But at the end of the day, when we come back to it, the key focus is that we still have so much opportunity within, I'd say, a 1 to 2 hour radius of us, where there's at least another 1,500 homes that we currently don't manage that we could go after. And for us to be operationally efficient, doing it this way seems to work really, really well.
Yeah. No, so that's awesome. So basically, you've looked at expanding, but overall, you're like, hey, we're happy with where we're at. There's plenty of opportunity. And I think, like we were talking about this before we went live, is like a lot of people, well, we're in 2 markets, so I don't know if that makes too much of a difference, but I think a lot of people they get into this, they maybe see the opportunity to go to another market, and they maybe take 5 or 6 listings, but then they're not able to execute at a high level in that market. So that's difficult. I like the way that you guys are structured. And you're in one area.
Yeah, I think the thing I think about this a lot. I've run companies now with 3,500 homes, and I've run it at now like 140, 150 we're at. The number that matters isn't the number of doors, it's the profit per door and how many owners would refer you. I think that's such a big piece to this part of the puzzle, that as you scale and grow and you start, looking at profitability, and I think really thinking about profitability is one of the biggest things. And I think the biggest mistake that many scaling managers or operators make is taking every property, that they want, and bad inventory is just a tax on the whole system. I mean, and the whole portfolio, and it eats time and staff and drags people down. So we score every lead that we get by 100 points. It's a 100-point checklist. And if the home if it falls below 75, we just don't take it. So we've gotten very selective in that. And I think the most profitable word in our industry, at least my opinion, is no. Every bad property you decline is margin you just protected, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I made a LinkedIn post maybe yesterday or 2 days ago about the same thing, of like how over the last 2 years, we've actually gone down 65 properties to around 50-ish, but we're going to do an additional 1.5, maybe 2 million, trailing 2 million in revenue and our average property was doing around 60. Now it's doing 85 to 90. So it's like we actually got smaller in size by focusing on profitability. And then in return, we're looking at our expenses, and our expenses went way down because our tech stack went way down, because our call outs to the trouble properties, went way down, and all these things factor in. And that's kind of like what I always recommend people. I don't know if you've ever, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I know Matt's read it, but have you ever read the book Pumpkin Plan?
No, I've not.
Yeah, check that out. I mean, you kind of already sound like you understand it, but it's just like basically, it's by Mike McCallowich, which we had on recently. Matt would probably know the episode.
Episode 100.
Oh yeah, episode 100. Okay, so he came on. He's an author, and he wrote the Pumpkin Plan, and it basically just describes the best way to build the biggest pumpkin and attract more very big pumpkins. And it's just kind of like weeding out all of the smaller pumpkins that won't contribute to your business. But anyways, yeah, one of the questions that comes to my mind is like when you're talking about profitability per door, I guess what I'm trying to think is like, what does that look like? Okay, probably everyone knows the low hanging fruit. Okay, commission. I'm going to make this percentage on this. But what are some other things maybe vacation rental managers overlook, or some things that really are able to make you more profitable as a vacation rental manager?
It's a great question, and I think going just real quickly back to what we were just talking about, I think homeowner fit, it's kind of, in my opinion, a sleeper category. A great house with a difficult owner is a bad property. And we see a lot of that. And I think that I just want to make that really clear, because I think when we look at adding homes, a lot of people think, oh, I'm adding a house, I'm going to generate revenue, and yet I've got all these maybe fees that I'm going to also generate that come from it. And yet I have a really difficult homeowner. I can tell you, straight up, it's really hard. Owner transparency is a growth engine, but not a cost. And, when you start looking at the economics and things like that around it. But when we take on homes, I think one of the things that is so important in our industry that gets overlooked, I talk to a lot of managers, or I maybe speak at a conference or do something or do a post on something on LinkedIn, is this profitability item. And I think if you look at just revenue that's coming in, whether you're charging 20% or whatever you're at, we're at 28% in our market, and we're actually the highest. We're the highest commission rate in the industry for our market we're in. We couldn't survive just on that. And I think so when we look at our business today, we look at it from the revenue side, but then we also look at the economic side of the homeowner and the guest. And what does that ancillary revenue look like? And I will say I've spent thousands of hours analyzing this, because our ancillary revenue is a massive profit center for us. We could not operate the way we do without it. And it starts by, if you look at the homeowners, we charge an onboarding fee. It's a substantial fee, but it covers VRBO, it covers locks, it covers photography, it covers permitting, it covers technology like Minute and some of the other technology tools we use to protect our homeowners. And so it starts there, but it goes beyond that, where we actually have insurance programs that we share certain revenue with our homeowners, but yet we're collecting a higher fee on that from the guest, making margins on cleaning and pet fees and all of those things. And I think that damage waivers is a massive one for us. So when we look at our revenue at the end of the year, I'd say almost a quarter of what we generate in revenue as a company, almost a quarter now, is coming from those ancillary fees. And I know a lot of people are nervous about this because it's a touchy subject, and I've been on panels, and I'm always the one who advocates that I love fees. And I do. I love fees because it helps us be profitable, but we're not feeing people to death. We're taking fees that are reasonable, and they're needed, to cover certain costs that otherwise we just wouldn't be, and any manager wouldn't be able to operate the way they do in our industry. So I think when people are listening to this, I'd say sit down and evaluate your fees. What do your fees look like from a homeowner perspective and a guest perspective? And even that little bump, like every year we analyze our fees, we don't drastically increase them, but $1 here, $2 there, wherever it might be. And then based on the number of reservations you have, those numbers really do add up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
It was crazy to me because people don't think about that. They think that, oh, I'm going to get this house. It's going to make $100 grand. I'm going to make 20 grand. But it's like, you could be making 30 or 40 grand. You just don't realize it. That, like you're saying, for instance, like you say, like damage waivers. I'm a big advocate of that. Why aren't you selling them? First of all, if you're marking up the damage waiver, anytime you have to submit a claim, it's already paid for. Your staff has already been paid to do that claim from all the upsells.
Right.
Like I track other things like cleaning fee markup. I charge a cleaning fee markup, but In the same token, I supply all the toiletries, any consumable I supply because I want every property to be the same. I take those expenses that I spend on each house for those, and I see what that is based with my cleaning fee markup and how much money I made. If it shows that it's in the negative, then I have to raise my cleaning fee because I have to be able to cover those costs. Then
Yep.
I have to be able to cover the cost of somebody to order the shit, right?
Yep.
And that kind of stuff. So it's like people don't seem to understand early check-in, late checkout, anything that you can sell, especially ancillary. It says right in my contract, any kind of ancillary income, any kind of income that I have to set up, that I have to work off platform, goes to me, goes to the company. And we make money off all kinds of things. I mean, we just had somebody purchase at a property grocery delivery $100. It cost me maybe $40 in overhead to do the grocery delivery.
Yep.
It cost me $25 to send the cleaner, and then the other $15 to order it and tip. And then the cleaner has to put it in the fridge. But then there's $60 made right there. You made 60% of the profit. So it's like people just don't realize, and there's so many engines out there that you can use to help yourself make more money than just commission. Commission is commission. That's just standard. But it's like, why aren't you? Like, why wouldn't you?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And we like I said, we don't fee people to death, but we have reasonable fees in place. We have a home watch program, not mandatory, but it's $100 a month, and it allows us, for homeowners who want us to be in that home every single month, because we're very seasonal in Wisconsin. May through Labor Day is really our high season. But those are the kind of things that we're doing to, first of all, enhance and create a really great homeowner experience. And then on guest experience side, it's the same thing. It's just really making sure that we're creating that, we call it whatever you want to call it, unreasonable hospitality, but really just creating a great guest experience. And some of that comes with, buying them things or doing things for them, or like you said, early check-in, late checkout. We're starting to do more of that. We haven't done a lot of it. I'll be honest. It's just been one of those things that we haven't gotten to yet, but now, this next year, we really are putting in a lot of those features in place that are going to create, that additional experience for the guests. But it comes at a cost, and it comes at making sure that we make money doing it. We just we're not a nonprofit. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a business, and I think a lot of people, they mean to treat it like a business, but at the same time, they're not treating it like a business. Like, if you had your threshold at $100,000 properties or more, your threshold could essentially be $80,000 if you can make up for it in ancillary, payments or things like that. So I think what you're doing is a great approach. We've had people on the show that, we've had one person on the show that made, 7 figures a year off their upsells, and they're just in that kind of market. You know what I mean? So it's like, it don't matter what market you're in, no matter what kind of house you have, you can sell the guests something, anything. You could sell them something. You can make something off of that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people sleep on that. They don't want to set up systems or things like that to do that. But you'd be surprised who'd pay for late checkout. You'd be surprised who'd pay for early check-in.
Yeah.
You'd just be surprised. And a trick for late checkout, I'll tell you, make your checkout times 10 o'clock. People are more apt to purchase late checkout, guaranteed.
Yep. That's what ours is at 10. I'll tell you another one that is really good for us and our homeowners. And it's not, and our homeowners know we have a margin on it, but preventative maintenance is a profit line. It's not an expense. And I think when you start doing preventative maintenance for your homeowners and doing things, and yes, there's a charge, and yes, there's a cost, and yes, there's some markup involved. I'll tell you though, those homes are well taken care of. We're catching things well in advance of before they become a major problem. And so, I'd say if you're listening, look at both sides of your business, the homeowner side and the guest side, because it's so important for you to be able to, like I said, maximize those profits as a company.
Yeah. You know what I've been flirting with actually, which I think would be really cool, is pest control. There's a high margin for pest control. If you do quarterly pest control on the house, the cost for just the chemicals alone is maybe $25 for the whole year.
Yeah.
For all quarters. You pay someone to spray it. You're charging, most pest control companies charge about $70 a month. So it's like, even if you paid somebody $25 an hour and they spent an hour and you're charging the owner $150 a quarter, I mean, you're making over $100.
Yep.
just in that. And that, like, there's different ideas like that. Like you're saying, maintenance programs, changing air filters, that kind of stuff, like, covering the cost of air filters in the change.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. Like, this is this is the gold program, whatever the case. Think about things as like a car dealership, right? You go to a car
Yeah.
dealership. It's like, oh, well, it looks like you're about time to get your transmission fluid flushed and your radiator flushed and your brake fluid needs to be changed and this and
Yep.
that. And a lot of people just say yes because they want a smooth running machine. And the same way goes for your house, right? A lot of people are just going to say yes because it's more things they don't have to worry about.
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's genius, and people don't think about it. And it's like, I think it's impressive when people come on here and talk about it, because a lot of people we talk about, and then I'll ask them, like, what are you doing for ancillary income? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what else are you doing besides commission? And they're like, oh, nothing. And I'm like, you're leaving money on the table. You're just leaving
A lot of money.
A lot of money. Yeah. And it adds up. You don't think that it works really at first, but then once the ball starts rolling, it's like pushing a rock up a mountain. It has to go down the other side.
Yeah,
Like,
I love your pest control. We flirted with it too. I mean, we're in a market where, we're in a, we'll call it lakes market, leisure lakes market. We're in the woods. A lot of our houses are, and people show up. They're like, oh, there were spiders, or we have a lot of bats. I mean, it's just, there are things that happen, but I think doing that from scale, if you can do it as a manager and have the bandwidth to do it, or find a vendor and you can work with them and partner and make a little margin there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Vendors too, like Hostco stores or Viator stores. Those are your friends. I mean, you give them a little cut, but you make money.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You have people booking like indoor massages. Why give it to Airbnb? If Airbnb is going to take it, you're not going to get nothing from it. So
Absolutely.
You might as well do it yourself.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make that extra money.
I agree.
But yeah, like, that's crazy. So when it comes to, you guys are about 150 properties now. How big do you want to get? What is your goal? Do you plan on changing markets to, like, offset the seasonalness of Wisconsin? Because, ebbs and flows, right? So you go up and you're having a great 3 or 4 months and you're like, this is awesome. And then you're like, back downhill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. We grapple with that every year and talk about, like, should we expand? And I've even looked at a company, buying a company in Winter Park, Colorado, to help offset, and then I've looked at other markets as well, and should we be in those? And at the end of the day, we thought about doing that, and now I think what we've realized is that yes, between May and now really the end of October is when we make most of our money. So November through late April is pretty lean for us. I think our focus is more about, though, what do we have right in our backyard? We have competitors, but most of them don't do, at the things that we do. We outcompete them. We're taking their homes right on a regular basis. And there's still so much inventory, whether it be in Door County, the Northwoods, other expansive markets within Wisconsin, like Milwaukee or even Madison, Lake Geneva, the Wisconsin Dells, where they're within a 2-hour drive of our main focused market of Door County. And so we're all remote anyways. So it would be really much easier for us to kind of stay focused in Wisconsin, even though sometimes those months are lean. But if we took and added 200 homes over the next 2 years, and our growth is very selective, like I was saying earlier, we're very selective in the number of homes we take on. We want to grow. And by the end of this year, we'll probably add about another 10 to 15 homes. And then next year, our goal is adding around 50 a year. If we can get to that mark, we know we're doing really well. That doesn't mean we're not looking for acquisitions, within the state. There are some smaller companies we've considered purchasing, but it's got to be a really good fit. And I think when I say that, it's a good fit because we have a small knit team. We operate on the EOS, if you guys are familiar with Entrepreneur Operating System, way of doing business. And we're really super focused. We're super focused on goals. We're super focused on just making sure the business stays profitable. And so I'd say we're not going to probably go outside the market, although if something really presented itself and was really attractive, we'd probably look at it. But what I know at the end of the day from operators who are in multiple markets, you really have to have great systems in place. And I think sometimes that takes you away from the prize, looking at the prize. And for us, we're at the number we're at, but I'd say in the next 3 to 5 years, if we can get up to that 500 property mark, we have some ideas of what we'd like to do with the company, whether it's an exit strategy to sell or, do other things with it. I think we've got a really good focus now, and we're going to kind of stay that course because it doesn't sound sexy. And it's like, oh, I'm in 5 markets and I've got all these things going on. But, like I said earlier, 5 markets and 30 homes. I mean, when you're in a market and you have 10 homes, how do you manage that? I mean, that's just a different market where, your primary core business is 1,000 miles away. That just doesn't work. And I think you lose sight, you lose consistency, you lose continuity, you lose a lot. So we're going to kind of stay the course and do what we do best and continue to build in our backyard.
Yeah. I think that's a genius approach too. And I think that, like what you said really struck with my situation. Like you said, like Milwaukee. So we're talking about a metro market. And the cool thing about metro markets is they're pretty much even all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, so I manage in metro, I manage in seasonal, and the metro markets keep me going all year long. It's great. You get longer bookings, things like that. And actually the ancillary income's a lot better usually in those too. But,
Yeah.
and especially within 2 hours, it's not as really as far as a stretch, right? There's most people are like, I'm going to expand. And like the first thing you said, oh, we're looking at a business in Colorado, right? How far away is that from you, right? That's like, and I feel like it's harder.
Yeah.
The farther you go away from where your home base is than not, right? Because it's like more things you have to set up, more people have to go places, you got to set more people in more places.
Absolutely.
You really have to acquire a lot of things. You have to acquire a lot of contracts at one time in order to even like do that, right? Unless you do something slow going.
Exactly.
So there is a challenge there. And I think that's a lot of people's qualm is like, how do I make up for the slow times? Because the good times are good, right?
Yeah, I mean they are. They're the good times. I mean, July for us is just. I mean, we had our revenue management call today, and we looked at numbers. I mean, we're just we're killing it. I mean, it's an incredible year over last year, and so we're really excited by that. But what we realize is that if we had another 100 homes in our pocket today, November through April isn't as painful. We still have payroll, we still have costs, we still have things happening, we still have reservations. Don't get me wrong. But they're few and far between. And so that's kind of our focus, and it seems to be working really, really well.
That's awesome. So do you guys have an in-house like revenue manager, or do you use an out-of-house revenue manager? And then if they are in-house, where did you get them from, and how did you teach them the art? Per se?
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of things people are trying to do is build revenue management in-house.
Yeah, so we had a in-house revenue manager. She's great. We don't have her anymore. She left and decided to go to work for a larger, we'll call it more national company, back at right around the first of the year. And so we evaluated: do we bring another person in? And the challenge is that it's bringing a person in and either teaching them, like you said, or training them, but they also have to understand and know the market. And so we kind of evaluated that and said, is it worthwhile to do that, or do we go outside? And there's some great resources, companies that are outside that we felt would be a much better fit for our business moving forward. They didn't have to be local; they could be wherever they are. And then, in this case, the company we hired, I'll tell you who it is. It's RevZen. Sarah and Emily are amazing, and they do a phenomenal job for us. And they studied our market; they understand it now. We meet with them. Every week we get a report from them, and every 2, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we have a meeting with them. And we go through, all the numbers. We go through properties that are trending ahead, properties that are not doing so well. What's our strategy? They meet regularly with our biz dev team and our marketing team. And I will say, moving forward, if I were to do this again, I'd probably go outside immediately, only because, you know, you want someone who understands revenue management. It's not complicated, but it's not easy. And you have to understand the numbers and when to pull levers and do all of those types of things. And, because Sarah was at Natural Retreats before she started her own company, and I'm going to praise on her. She was, revenue manager for over 1,500 properties. Emily was at various companies throughout her career. And, so I think for me, or for at least for us, we won't go back to an in-house. We will stay with someone who's outsourced, but can do a great job for us. Now, that doesn't mean there are good people out there who can do this. Just for our business, I'd say it makes a lot of sense. And I will say this, for someone who's scaling, maybe you don't need a revenue manager at, our in-house person or even an outsourced person at, 5 or 10 properties. But I'd say you start crossing that 10 threshold. There's a lot of nuances to revenue management, and dynamic pricing and how things should be priced and seasonality and all of those factors that go into it. And when should a lever be pulled? And are we actually booking too early, or, should those prices be held, for a longer time? And those are all those strategies. I'll be honest, I'm not that expert. And that's why I hire great people who do it way better than I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's kind of tough when you bring it in-house, then you're just like, you have the ability to pull them off, right?
Exactly.
You have the ability to direct them somewhere else, to break their focus from what their core job is, to put them on some other kind of project. And I think that puts you at risk in order to miss, the income that you should be getting.
Well, and I know, and this is no criticism of our old revenue manager, Katie. She was awesome, but she also was beyond the revenue manager. To your point, she was head of our homeowner relations. So, she's pulling levers in revenue and she's super focused on that. But we realize that's a full-time job with the number of properties we have. And I think as we grow and we look to it, we would continue to use Sarah and her team. But like anything else, as you scale, where is additional help potentially needed, and whether we would look to them for that, or, maybe bring in a junior person that could work with them directly on certain things. We just don't know what that looks like yet, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So are you guys, at this point, have you brought like cleaning in-house or maintenance in-house, or laundry or anything like that?
Yeah, some of it. So on our cleaning, most of our cleaning and maintenance is still outsourced. We've looked at bringing some of that cleaning in-house, but we just haven't done it yet. For our linens, though, we have our own linen program. So we do require any homeowner who joins our program to buy linens through us. Now, the reason we do that is, again, it's a profit center. And we're also getting great prices on our linens for our homeowners. So if they were to go out and pay for them, at the retail level, they're going to pay much, much higher cost. So even with the discount and our margin of making some money there, we have our own linen program. And then some of our laundry linen is laundered in-house, meaning we have a warehouse and a facility where we do some of that. And we have a couple cleaners that work with us directly, do the laundry there, but everything else is for the most part outsourced, at least for this period of time. We've talked about bringing cleaning in-house completely, but because we're so seasonal and because our market is kind of remote, finding work for those cleaners in the off season is really tough, and then you lose those people. And so it's one of those things where you have to kind of balance that. So I think the way we're doing it seems to be working pretty well right now. Same thing with maintenance. Maintenance is all pretty much outsourced, although some of our portfolio, the 2 portfolio managers we have, they can kind of do basic maintenance, but that's typically how we manage it now.
Dude, okay. So that's awesome. So a lot of people ask me about linens programs, and I've been debating on doing something like that.
Yeah.
So can you break down like what initial maybe startup costs would be, and how you would go about instituting a linen program, and what are you charging the homeowners? I know most of them, it's like a yearly cost. But some people have told me their yearly cost, and it doesn't seem feasible to me, because I'm like, you should spend $150 a year on a linen program. I don't really know. So
yeah,
can you break that down?
Yeah. So the way our linen program works is when a homeowner comes on board, based on the size of their home, we require 3 sets per bed. And like I said, whether it's a queen, king, whatever, so we have them purchase those through us, like I said, at a discount. And then typically our linens can last probably around 2 to 3 years. We're not a beach market, so we don't have lots of sand. We're not a winter market where we have snow and, well, we have snow, but we're not that kind of winter market where we have, people traipsing in with ski boots and things like that. And, all that other stuff that goes along with just the linen and the towels and things like that. So we purchase for them, for their home, through them, and they pay for it. And typically we don't require them to probably renew those linens for at least 2 years. Now, some of them can be, a little bit shorter than that, but for the most part, they pay it. It's an upfront cost, and then we would charge them again as needed for replenishment if we have to replace those linens, or in full. Like I know there's beach markets I've worked in where every year they're requiring their homeowners to buy new linens. We don't require that. We require that upfront purchase, and then, like I said, every couple of years usually we'll redo that order. Or if they get worn and torn sooner, then we go back to them for that.
So you're buying in wholesale and then you're just selling to them for more. Are you keeping stock of that, or are you just ordering it?
We were keeping stock of it, and I will tell you, it's the bane of my team's existence. Everyone hates the linen program because it got to be very complicated, and now we've made some refinements to it, and everything is pretty much like, call it a drop ship. We have warehouse linen because we have backup and we need that. But for the most part, now it's a drop ship. We bring on a new home, we get the order done, one on the bed, one in the owner's closet or the cleaning closet, and then one, either being laundried or ready, for future use. And so that process seems to work pretty well, especially having the 3 sets, because a lot of times the cleaners can launder at the property, but a lot of times they don't. They take it with them, and it just works pretty well that way. And then a lot of homeowners too, keep in mind, have their own linen. They don't want to sleep on the quality. We're hospitality grade linen. I mean, we've got a really nice product, and but the homeowners have their own stuff they want to put on. We don't care.
Yeah, we haven't put anything like that into place. We've looked at it, but we just don't want to take that on at this point. So we just kind of order them as needed. But some managers I've even seen, man, I don't know how they're doing it, but I guess they're on super profitable properties, but they'll include the linens in. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, I was working with someone the other day and I was like, we could definitely make them way more money. It's a great property, wanted to take it, but they're like, man, we're at 16% with our manager and they include linens and consumables. I'm just like,
that's called ancillary expense. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that was crazy. And a lot of managers in our market, like, I guess they just make so much money in commission volume of like, 1,000 units or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe they're making it up on the back end somewhere by being the guest. I'm just not sure. Even went to their direct booking website and I'm like, I can't figure out where they're making up this fee. But maybe they're just, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I don't know either. Linens are a tough one. I mean, we think we have it kind of figured out now, and based on how we're doing things, and we've even talked about, should we have a laundry facility because we could then launder for other cleaning companies and managers even. But that's a whole separate business, and we're not ready for that yet. So we'll pause on that for now.
Yeah, I think even at, you guys are almost triple the size of us. So we're not like, it doesn't make sense for us to have that conversation at this point either. So no. It's not, at your point, maybe it's like starting to explore it, but for us, no. One question that comes to my mind. So we also do we use Wavo, and then they give us a discount, and then we use Wavo's linen protection deal. So we're good at getting them replaced. And if we do have to order them, we just order them and invoice the customer the client at cost. So it's a pretty fair system that we have for now. But my question for you is really geared towards more guest insurance. Do you guys self-insure at your size, or do you guys use a third party? I'm guessing you self-insure, but I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I'm smiling because so we, at one point, before I became the CEO of the company, were using an outside company, that was doing damage protection, and we were sharing that revenue or getting a percentage or whatever. And I said to the company, I said, we really should look at self-insuring. And it made a lot of sense for us to do that. So we have a self-insured damage waiver now, if you want to call it that. It's not really insurance; it's just damage protection, because I'm not supposed to use the word insurance because we can't
Right.
sell insurance.
Yeah.
But damage protection, and each guest pays it. It's a percentage of the. It covers our amenity fee, and it covers the damage protection. It's 8% of the gross rental revenue of whatever that property rent would be. So it's not a flat fee. We tried flat fee for a while, and we started making money on some properties but losing on others, and so we said, let's just go to a percentage across the board. And and it shows up. It's a line item in our booking process, so guests do see it. And we self-insure now, and it seems to work pretty well. I mean, we take that money, we escrow it, put it into an operating escrowed account, so it's sitting there. And then when we have damages, we just take it out and we use those funds. But I will say this: of all of the ancillary fees that we make money on or collect, that is by far the biggest money maker is the damage waiver, just because it's substantial. And again, it's protection, but it's also something that's definitely necessarily needed.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're definitely looking at, is exploring if it makes sense to switch to self-insure. I think after we did all the math and the numbers, we just haven't made the commitment of pulling the trigger. But I think you can, like you said, not self-insure damage protection. You can't use the I word because we're not insuring people. But damage coverage. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I think every market's different, guys. And this. You're in markets that you have beaches, and we don't. Well, we do, but not beaches like people like go to the beach. And so for us, we don't have a lot of damage. Knock on wood, I have to say that. We're really lucky, and so it makes sense for us. For some other people who may, have a lot of damage, I helped and consulted with a company in Panama City Beach. They were running 200-300 condos, and it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. And every week there was freaking damage in every single condo they were managing. So does it make sense there? Probably not. So again, you have to evaluate that and see what works best in your market. But I'd say if you can self protect, then I would say it makes a lot of sense. And I'm just super passionate about it because it's just such a great profit center for us, but it helps us when there is damage or major issues that we have to correct.
Yeah, and you just keep it like, what do you set? Does every house have the same limit, or does every house have a different limit per the ADR for the house, or like 1,500 property versus a $3,000 coverage? I mean, how do you normally do that, or is it just standard across the board?
It's standard across the board. Yeah, I think it's a 1,500 that we cover up to now, and then obviously we can do more. We've talked about doing more for some of our larger homes where it gives them additional higher amounts of coverage, but because we charge the 8%. So let's say it's a $20,000 booking. 8% on 20,000 is a lot different than 8% on 1,000. So that's kind of how we justify the difference there, as far as the amount of damage we're actually collecting.
Yeah,
not so much on how much we're insuring, but just how much we make. But the insurable part is still like 1,500. We've talked about raising that number, but right now we're at 1,500.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that brings me kind of my next question. I was looking at your website. Like, doesn't seem like you have a lot of awesome properties, no doubt, like waterfront stuff like that. But it doesn't seem like you manage a lot of pool properties. Maybe that's just not the market. Maybe it's not your thing. I don't know. But I was curious. What's on that? Is it just not like? Is that not really amenities? Is it just too dang cold? It doesn't make sense, or?
Yeah, we don't have there aren't a lot of pools, believe it or not. So yeah, it's just not one of those things. It's a market where, people who come to Door County or the Northwoods, if your property is on a lake, you use the lake, you swim in the lake, you boat in the lake, do things like that. So yeah, we're really not a big pool friendly community. What we are, though, is because of our location, being, a 4-hour drive from Chicago, 4 hours from Minneapolis, and, 2.5, 3 hours from Milwaukee, Madison, the same thing, 3 hours. We're super pet friendly. And that is a big part of our business that's really grown. I'd say of our 100 plus homes, I'd say we have almost now 60 homes that are pet friendly, and we really promote that. We're getting ready to actually do some additional possible outreach to some additional OTAs that focus on pet friendly stays. That's another area. So for us, pet friendly has become kind of our, I don't want to say it's our pool thing, but it's nice because we have a lot of owners who are dog or pet friendly. We don't take cats. Sorry to the cat people out there, but we do take dogs, and it works really well because kennels now are expensive, and we charge $50 a dog per day, and people are willing to bring them. They want their dogs there with them. So very different kind of an environment versus the pool side of it, which we kind of have a big pool with Lake Michigan, so that seems to help.
You charge $50 per day per pet?
Correct.
Or per stay?
Per day.
Okay. Nice. I was gonna say you charge $50 per stay. I'm like,
no,
you could probably raise that.
No. We it's $50 per dog per day, and I think there's like a maximum on the dogs. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 or something like that, but yeah,
that's killer.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, is there any kind of, because the big thing now, dude, is AI. Like,
yep.
Are you using any kind of AI in your business, and what are you using it for?
Great question. So, I'm a big believer in AI. I love Claude. It helps me, do a lot of things in the business. I think what AI does is automate certain friction points, but never the hospitality. My whole thesis is that, AI should eliminate the work guests never see, and that's, routing, scheduling, triage. So we're using some AI now in our operational side of things. Marketing's using AI quite a bit to write listing descriptions, and we're using AI for guest communication and response, review response. So, right now I'd say those are the areas, drafting those types of reviews. We use VAs extensively. We have some great VA company that's amazing, and we use them for our guest experience side of things. SOP creation, pricing analysis. There's a lot of leveraging reports that we use with AI now. So I think, AI, it's one of those things that I think is, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 years. I don't think AI is going to replace hospitality operators. I don't believe that. But operators who use AI to buy back time, right, for hospitality will replace the ones who don't. Because there's just certain things that AI can do for you in your business. Is it going to ever book a guest? To be determined. I think that's $1 million question. Everyone's trying to figure out, is AI going to do that? Possibly. I don't know. Maybe it will at some point. But at the end of the day, I think, in this AI world, the question isn't, can AI book my property? It's who owns the guest when it does. That's going to be the biggest question.
Yeah. I agree. 99%. I do use my AI for my hospitality, and it can book the guests over the phone. But yeah, it's a game changer for sure. There's so many things that you could do, and I think you could even bounce off of it to figure out what kind of ancillary income would help with your business too, since the big talk of the day is ancillary income, right? So,
oh yeah, without a doubt. You could type that into Claude, and it will tell you exactly every category you should be making money on, and it does it in under 10 seconds. It's AI to me it's fascinating. It's scary, because it's changing the world in which we live in, just in general. But in our industry, I find it fascinating how people are using it, and I think over time we're going to see more and more operators using it. But to what degree? Like I said, it can never take place of the person. I listened to a webinar through the Harvard Business School. It was very good. This was probably now almost 2 years ago, even, right? And it talked about this, and it talked about how AI is going to transform the world, but transform business and industry. but the theme was one that hasn't changed. AI can do all of that, but you have to have a human element involved in it. You have to. And I still agree with that. You can't just set it and let it roll and then hope it gives you the right price. It doesn't work that way. It does some remarkable things, but I think you just have to be careful with it, and how it's going to be used in your business. But I'd say, play with it, try it. We started with Chat GPT, and I like Chat; it's great. But I moved to Claude because it seems like it's much more detailed. The analytics on it, when I start running numbers and looking at reports and KPIs and all of these other things, it's fascinating what it can give you.
Yeah, Chat is in the name. It's Chat. It's pretty much. I mean, I always tell everybody like I like Chat GPT for like if I need to clean up some photos or something. It's good in that aspect, but when it comes to building something, it's not extremely helpful.
No, I mean, no,
when it
and
comes
and
to
the marketing team uses it a lot. I mean, we use it to write newsletters, and we're using it now for our certain SEO things that we're doing, and we're using it for meta posting and Instagram, and all of those things, and it's saving us a ton of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I have a lot of things. I think I have blog posts that's automated. It just does it all with
Yeah,
AI, and I just approve it, and then it pushes to the Facebook, the Instagram, all those things. So
yeah,
the goal is to get AI to recommend you if somebody asks, and you know, get your visibility out there any way you can.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a fantastic tool, and you can save a lot of time if you
You
actually
you can
figure it
and
out.
you can. And the one area that I'm super curious about right now, and I'm not going to say I'm studying it, but I'm looking at it, is how are these, we'll call them AI companies, whether it's Claude or Perplexity or Chat, how are people going to use those to start searching vacations or destinations? And then is that eventually going to allow them to book? Because I think that's coming. I just don't know when, but I think, those are, like YouTube's become a great search engine right behind Google. But now I can go into Claude and I can type in there, what's the best hotel to stay at when I go to the guest eval conference in Madrid, and boom, and hit it. And it spews out in 20 seconds. Here are the 10 best hotels to stay at within a mile of your destination. Now,
Yeah,
won't book it for me yet, but eventually I think it's going to.
yeah, it's getting pretty close. I
Yeah,
mean, I think you hook up that Chrome extension, it probably can get pretty damn close to finishing it for
exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Enter your credit card information. Okay, cool, done.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's awesome. Michael, I want to be respectful of your time. It's been almost an hour. We could probably do this for like another hour, but I really appreciate you coming on. I know Austin does. Hopefully, everybody got the value from you today. You want to tell everybody where they can find you or follow you, or any parting words?
Yeah, sure. I'm on LinkedIn, Michael Friedman. You'll see me, Simple Life Hospitality or Simple Life Rentals. You can visit our website at simpleliferentals.com. And then if anyone is interested, connect with me through LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to share ideas with you, and just share the wealth like you guys do with the industry. I think it's awesome, and thank you for what you do, because I think it's important that we're a small part of this huge travel vertical, and technology keeps changing, but the business never has. Take care of the home, take care of the guests, tell the owner the truth, and everything else takes care of itself. So I appreciate what you guys are doing as well. It's super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. We enjoy doing this. Like Austin says, this actually cost us money to do. We do this out of our own pocket. It's a labor of love. I'm sure there's times we both wanted to be like, let's just quit doing this. Because it is a time suck for us sometimes. Sometimes we have to do like three or four podcasts a week. I mean, there was one time I think we accidentally scheduled a couple days back to back, and we're like, damn, why'd we do that? So it is a labor of love for us, and we just really hope that we can help everybody.
Well,
Um,
if you
so
ever one of you wants to take a vacation and I'll be a co-host with you, I'm more than happy to jump in. So offering that here live today, I'm more than happy to jump in and co-host with you guys
That's
if you ever
awesome.
need help. Yeah,
Well, we
seriously.
might have to do that. Like, just have random people on the round table, Austin. Just like have three people randomly here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if we could, see who's good personalities, and see, maybe people could vote, and see like, oh, do you want to have them come back? But yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, Michael, thank you, man. Appreciate it. And with that, I'll let Austin do his duty.
All righty. Well, thank y'all for listening. Peace.